I'm Dwayne Brummett. He's Ali Alberigo, and this is the School Owner Talk podcast. Hey, can you believe it? Another podcast with Ali and I. Ali, great to be with you, sir. How are you today?
I am great, man. Tired, a little tired, but I'm good.
All right. Well, as long as you're not sick and tired, then we're good.
That's for sure. A lot of people are getting that super cold, though. I don't know by you if a lot of people are sick, but by me, it's like everybody. It's not COVID, it's not the flu, but people are getting like knocked out for like 4 or 5 days from this cold that's going around.
Really? Didn't it start in New York and then travel this way? So I got to wait for it.
I hope it doesn't, but I don't know. I don't know how that works, but I wouldn't doubt it because we do seem to get stuff here all the time before everyone else.
Well, I mean, obviously, you've got a lot more visitors in your town, in that area than I do. So
Yeah, I don't know. What is your population in your town?
Wow, Kankakee County is small compared to New York.
Yeah,
But,
well,
even
New
Long
York
Island
in
is
general,
still
right?
small.
Well, in my township, I remember East Islip. I think we have 16,000 in my town of my school, 16,000 households in my town. So,
Okay.
and plus maybe some of them are two family and so on. So a lot of people in the community. That's why sometimes you say to yourself, like, why is it so hard to get a big market share of whatever that's going on out there?
Well, and it goes back to what I mean, even in the industry, only 1% of the population is going to do what we do.
Yeah.
So, and then an even smaller like we are, you and I, and the school owners, we're an anomaly because we stayed in
Yeah.
it this long.
Yeah.
We stayed in the martial arts this long. So
32 years for me this last, the 9th of November.
Yeah. And congratulations on your anniversary, by the way.
Yeah. 32 years, right? Can you imagine? Crazy.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
I can't believe it. Like I look back and it almost seems like yesterday, and look, this year I was just working with my clients this morning, coaching clients, and we're talking about a month before we close the year out. Like technically everyone's closed for the holidays between December 24th and January 1st. So we technically have from now the 15th until like the 20th of next month. It's less than a month that we're going to be around before we take our breaks and start a new year.
It is a month. I'm looking at my calendar counting, and we have 8 classes left.
It's amazing.
And when I say that, we, you either in my school, you come Monday, Wednesday, you come Tuesday, Thursday. So if you're, in either one of those programs, you have 8 classes left until the end of the year and we're closed.
Wow. Wild, right? It's just wild.
It is. So, before we get into the topic today, which I loved how you titled it, there's gold under the tatami mats.
Yeah.
And the genesis of this call is because, this is the beginning of the school year for me, moving in, it's not beginning of school year, but at the beginning of the school year, I always market my back to school, campaign. And one of it obviously is come do martial arts because now is the time. Back to school, you need structure. The other back to school campaign is the martial arts field trips for ourselves that we, get a ton of leads from. And then from there, we had, in September was the National Martial Arts Appreciation Month. Again, a ton of leads from that as well. And so in today's topic, we're talking about that there's gold under the tatami mats really is squeezing the lead, getting everything out of a lead that you possibly can, even if they don't sign up. And I think that's the caveat where some school owners miss it. We just look at it as what is our primary goal? Our primary goal is to get that lead to come in and do a trial.
Right.
That trial to then obviously enroll. And then from enrolling to move into, some sort of program and then an upgrade program and go to black belt and beyond.
Right.
And we were going to talk about that today too. But what if they don't enroll? Like, how do you utilize that relationship? And I think that's an important term. How do you cultivate that relationship so that you can squeeze everything out to your advantage as a school owner. Is
Right.
that kind of a good overview of what we're going to talk about today?
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, and that's what I think is the biggest dilemma is that we, like for example, digital marketers, they're going to get you leads that are going to sign up and become members, right? That's where it is. A lot of times y'all hear friends of mine, oh, those leads are terrible. Those leads are not a valuable lead. They're not a good quality lead, et cetera, et cetera. I think the first thing to point out is years ago when you advertised, you didn't know what kind of lead you were getting. You'd throw an ad in the local paper. If you got phone calls, you never knew the quality of the lead. If they didn't pan out, you wouldn't say, oh, well, this paper. And by the way, there are certain papers, like we had a paper in our area called the Penny Saver. People are always looking for deals out of this one paper. And I would advertise it in it very often. And quite often those people were looking for deals because that's the kind of paper I was advertising in. So, but nowadays, a lot of people will say, oh, that lead was terrible. And they maybe delete them out of their database, or they follow up once or twice or three times and the other people don't get back to them and they give up on it. Right. So you have to ask yourself, like, what is the lead first? And then what we'll talk about all the other things that you were saying and how to get more out of the lead.
Absolutely. So let's kind of start in a perfect world where the lead obviously opts in.
Yeah.
And from that opt-in, they come and do a trial. They're happy with the program. They enroll at least in some sort of base program.
Right.
And we're not, in this podcast today, we're not talking about, what programs you should have, anything like that. You can decipher what's going to be best for you. But
Right.
in a perfect world, they went from lead to trial to now student. And so now that lead is a student. How do you utilize and create the relationship with them to squeeze the most out of that lead, and not in a bad way. So not in a manipulative way.
Yeah.
But, I tell my parents that, okay, if it takes 4 years to get the black belt, and especially the ones that are saying to me, look, I need you to be harder on my kid.
Right.
And I go, well, we can do that. But here's our model. It takes 4 years to get to black belt. It doesn't matter if they, get the round kick now, perfect, or if they get it in a year, perfect, or at least by the black belt get it perfect. I'm talking in general sense, in a general sense. And I just say, look, I look at your child as a block of concrete. And we're going to chisel out what we need to chisel out, but we want to do it strategically because, look, if I'm too hard at the wrong time, too much or whatever, I can damage that relationship with your child. And it would be like actually chiseling out too much of the concrete and going, oh crap, I really needed that piece.
Right.
And then have to glue it back on. And it's
Right.
never as strong as it was before. So if you can just trust the process, and by the time they get to black belt, see where they are going to be. And we've done this for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students. I know that you're going to see the benefit in that. And I'll tell them, some kids aren't loud, even though you want your kid to be like boisterous and loud and hit hard all the time. And look, I've had some that they didn't blossom until right before black belt.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're a machine.
Yeah.
But they decided to turn it on. So I say all of that because in that communication, in that relationship, that allows us to be able to, and again, going back to what I've said before, clear as kind, understanding where we're coming from, understanding where they're coming from, and where we can let them intersect. That's going to then also allow us to build that trust that when we say, hey, look, I think Johnny would be a good fit for our leadership team, or I think Johnny would be a good fit for our storm team, or for this level program, and all of these different things. That's going to allow us to be able to squeeze the most out of that lead because of the true and honest relationship that we've built over that time. So from lead to trial to student to upgrade to black belt and beyond. But
Hmm.
inside of that, there are so many other opportunities for them. So I know one that you're really good at is, the whole referral opportunity to get
Right.
people, um, to refer. Now, one way that we built that in is we created that fictitious National Martial Arts Appreciation Month. So at least one time a year, our students have an opportunity to bring somebody in and in an exciting event to share martial arts with them so that we can
Right.
get some referrals from them. But
Right.
referrals on an ongoing basis, not just one month a year, is another way that you can, really strengthen the relationship with your student and then also gain more leads besides. Anything that you want to go over before we keep, moving forward on
No,
this?
well, I definitely wanted to point out though that, if you don't like, I was coaching one of my other clients yesterday, and I said you have to have a process, right? You have to have some sort of sales process. And they were saying, "What do you mean process? I don't understand what you're saying." And I'm like, "Well, you have to have like a diagram of where and mapping of where they're going to go, right? You have to have a clear understanding of where you want your students to start and where they're going to end. We have that when it comes to rank. Beginner, they start white belt, they go to black belt, right? Eventually move and progress on further. We have an understanding of what their curriculum is, what's expected of them, how many classes they should have, how many months they should train before they get promoted, et cetera, right? So we need to think of that in a business sense as well. We need to say to ourselves, okay, when they walk through the door, what's the objective, right? When we sit down and meet with them and try to get them signed up into a specific program, what are our objectives? What are we going to explain to them, lay out for them, show them the pathway so that they understand it clearer. A lot of times I think we're just presenting the sale, but we're not really giving them any education on how they should be thinking about what we do. So I went back to just recently with my sheets, sales sheets on my different programs, right? Black Belt Club, Masters Elite, Basic Program, and it's written out so that I could say, here, look, this is what you get. These are all the things that are included. These are the costs. Because rather than just saying it and then not seeing it visually, sometimes they're really not hearing what you're saying. We're seeing what you're explaining. So we have to have a very clear, succinct, organized process to take them through from start to sign up to Black Belt Club to whatever else, leadership team, and so on. It has to be set out, just like a school has first grade, second grade, third grade. They know ahead of time where they're going to go. You can't leave it up to the student because they'll just get stagnant and fizzle out.
Yeah, and so you have a curriculum, and then you have lesson plans in order to deliver that curriculum to get them to the next curriculum,
Right.
the next belt level that has lesson plans and so on and
Yeah.
so forth. So having a lesson plan, or what when I first learned how to do this was with Professor Hafner, now Grandmaster Hafner, but he called it the roadway to success.
Right.
It was the path, and this is what,
Yeah.
in a perfect world, this is what happens: bing, 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 bing.
Right.
And then from there you have your deviations. So
Yeah.
if there is some off-roading at this point, this is what you do to get them back on the road that you want them to be on.
Right.
And another person was Tommy Lee, his success system, the BSS, I
Yeah.
forget what it's
Sales.
called. Yeah, sales system, and his phone script. I mean,
Right.
that's where I learned how to, do a whole phone script, and then, here's the perfect phone script. But when they say this, you say this. When they go
Right.
off road, you say. And so that was my first introduction to having some sort of roadway or path,
Right.
or lesson plan in order to
Mhm.
deliver the information that I needed them to get. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with you 100%. And then that needs to be communicated, obviously, to your staff. Anybody that's going to be utilizing it, they have to be
Right.
good at delivering that system and overcoming
Well,
objections as
think
well.
about that. And I actually was hanging out with Tommy at the Spark membership summit that we did, and him and I used to see each other all the time. We haven't seen each other in a while. It was just great to catch up with him, and he's still doing amazing. His school is still kicking butt, and so on. But I also remember hearing Master Chung Park talk about this mindset of like, okay, for the first 6 months, you're in a basic program. After that, we're going to sit down with you and present you to our 3-year program, which is a black belt program. So that takes 3 years, I guess, in his school to become a black belt. So they would get on this particular program. Like, and he said to the group, I'm paraphrasing too. He said something like, if they don't upgrade to the black belt program, you pretty much know they're not going to continue. So he said that's why they got to get them from this to that as soon as possible, so that they're locked in, not financially or committed wise, but they're locked in mentally to this program where they're able to say, okay, my kid is going to become a black belt. You're not quitting. You're not doing something else. He's not going to be involved with other things. He's going to go from here. We made the commitment. He's going to get his black belt, right? And that's super important.
Yep. No, totally agree. And so, that in a perfect world, that's how, your lead process is going to work and how you're going to squeeze that juice. Because that's where we make the bulk of our money, is out of our memberships. Secondarily to that are other opportunities for those students to get involved even deeper into your school. And so those would be special events, such as, an inter-school tournament, all the way to, parents' night outs, to bully classes, to the like. And I mean, there could be a litany we could go through, but any other way that they could just another buy-in, another touch, another time for them to interact with you on just a different level. I was just talking with both my head instructors, the one at both school, one for Bradley and the one for New Lenox, and I was talking with them that I go, really on the ground, on the mat, we are, I would say, we're only 20% creating the relationship there. Off the mat is the other 80%. And so that is in between classes, that is at special events, or special seminars. Of course, that would be a special event, but that's really where the deeper part of the relationships actually, I believe, happen, are off the floor.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we miss that. We're thinking, well, we're on the floor, we're building a relationship, they're training hard. Yes, agreed. But that's not the time that the relationship, I think, is actually built in depth.
Yeah.
I think it's only a start. It's only 20%. The other 80% is off the floor. So that's why getting them involved in doing a whole bunch of other events, but then also, like we do t-shirt summer, we do apparel sales like hoodies and long sleeve shirts for the winter. Yes, they're spending money, but it's just another buy-in. It's just another touch. It's like, hey, I'm proud of my school. I'm wearing it. Yes, that brings us revenue, but more than that, it's just one more layer of connection. Would you agree with that?
I totally do. And I absolutely think that that's essential to have this kind of rabid fan tribal mentality, right? So like you mentioned special events, parents' night outs, whatever you do, Nerf wars, Halloween parties. If a small percentage, almost every school that I know of, that a very small percentage of their enrollment will participate in those events. And most of the time, it's the same people participating in all the events. So then you say to yourself, well, what can I do to get more people like them that are going to go to 3 out of the 5 events a year versus 0, right? Like, so I look at that sometimes, and sometimes it's mindset. Some parents have budgeted in, they're just going to do whatever it is. They're going to do 1 event a year or no events. They're just going to do regular martial arts, and that's it. They're not coming to the parents' night outs or whatever. We have to shake them out and get them to try and do it, so that they become fans of what we do and see why other people are doing it. So that we should be focused on those people, the ones that are not engaging. We need to find out why and try to get them to engage. Because just imagine you have 100 students and 50 sign up for an event, but the next time you're better at it, you talk to them, you find out why, now you have 75. So that's dramatic change, not only in income, but the buy-in, the following, that tribal mentality. And that's so essential for the growth of the school. It's like when you get people to refer you, you'll only get a handful of people that will refer you a bunch of people, and then you'll get maybe a few that only do one or two. The majority of the rest of them aren't doing anything at all. They're not even engaging. They're nodding their heads at all the right times, but they're not really participating at all.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the relationship is important. So, however, whatever you can do to cultivate that relationship off the mat, I think is vitally important.
Absolutely.
So,
Without a doubt.
And then obviously, I mean, I know that this is a given, but birthday parties,
Right.
or pizza parties or whatever, for your students as well.
Right.
Now, going back to what you had said originally, school owners will get in leads and they go, man, that's a horrible lead. They didn't even
Right.
come in. They didn't do X, Y, or Z or ABC. A lot of people, and we've talked about this off the air, but a lot of people give up after the first, second, or even third time.
Right.
And they only they only allow their automated system to follow up. So meaning, it sent a couple of texts and it sent an email, and then they're like, yeah, no, this person isn't coming in.
Right.
And that's crazy because the stats show anywhere from 8 to 12 times easy is what
Right.
people need over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Not, constantly knocking on the door so that
Yeah.
they get irritated with you, but just reaching out in concern and questioning or wondering, hey, are you still interested in taking the free trial or paid trial or whatever it is?
Right.
So we shouldn't, it's not my money, but we shouldn't give up that easily on that person, still trying to get them to be the perfect match coming into the school and doing the trial and then becoming a student and doing the upgrades like we just spoke about. Because I've had people after 11 or 12 or even 13 times easily finally go, yep, we're ready. Or say, now's not the good time. They're in soccer. Can you, and then we'll just say, well, when's soccer over? Do you want us to give you a call after?
Yeah.
Or right before it's over? Yeah, absolutely. And we've had some of them, not all, but we've had some of them go, yep, we'd like to now do it.
Right.
So don't give up so easily. No doesn't always mean no forever.
Right.
No can just mean no for right now. And I'll give you a, for instance, we just did like last week I did, I think 3 field trips. This week, yesterday I did a field trip. Tomorrow I've got a field trip. And some of those students, I actually have in my system from 3 years ago. And this was during COVID. And we did remote field trips. So I did it via Zoom.
Wow.
And some of them, were getting all the emails and getting the information, didn't act on it at all.
Right.
But I took them out of that system and I put them into this system, follow-up system is what I'm talking about. And we've already had a few go, yep, I want to try it. But see, 3 years ago, they weren't interested.
Right. Right.
But I'm not going to give up. And if they say, hey, stop calling me, we're not interested, we're never going to be interested, then I put them on our do not call list and we don't send them anything.
Yeah, I actually delete them right out of my database. I don't mind like doing that. I don't get offended by it. I want them to be interested or not bothered by my communications.
Yeah, but exactly. I don't necessarily, there's been a few that have been very angry.
Mm-hmm.
And those I take out of the system.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what, by the way, like you said before, and here's something that we also have to think about. Let's say little Johnny's 5. He comes in, he didn't really love it. We keep him on the mailing list. 3 years later, we send out an email, or we've been sending out emails, and they bring in little Johnny's brother, who's now old enough to do it, and they come in and they join. That happens all the time. The sibling didn't want it. The other one comes in. So this just goes to show when you're thinking about leads, right? So for the people who are listening, there's not necessarily ever a dead lead. The dead lead is the one that says, Dwayne, I hate your guts. Don't call me anymore. Take me off your list, right? Because now we're not going to communicate. But if they're out there listening, and even if they just read quick and delete, but they don't say to you, take me off your list, then most probably they're not unhappy that you're sending them information. Like we had, I don't know if you and I interviewed someone or I did it with Gus. We interviewed an email marketing specialist, right?
More than us, yeah.
Okay, so it was I guess it was one of Gus's friends. And the guy just does emails. You think that emails are dead. Like so for like 6 months, I did like emails every week. I didn't get people to call up and sign up, but a lot of people were reading the emails and commenting. So they're out there still interested in what you have to say. They might not be ready to buy at this moment in time, but they're still listening. So you can't give up. People, the school industry, martial arts school in our industry is like, we want the lead now. We want them to respond now. If they don't respond now, they're a dead lead. I'm done with them. Like almost like we personally get offended that they're not being involved.
Yeah, and the thing is though, it's like it's okay to ask yourself the question, yeah, well then why'd they raise their hand in the first place?
Right.
I get that, but not all of my leads are that way. Like
right.
Again, the people that came in for the Martial Arts Appreciation Month, the people that come in for birthday parties, the people that come in for field trips or other special events, they did not raise their hand to do karate.
Right. Right.
They didn't say, yes, I want to do karate, send me stuff. They came in and they're doing stuff with us. So therefore we are sending them information in hopes that they are interested. But a very small percentage of them will only be interested. Well, why is that? Well, because only 1% of the population ever does martial arts anyways. So if you got 100 people, you got one person that you probably will end up signing up. Like, I mean, and if you're out of those 100 people, if you signed up 10, you're actually doing better than the percentage. So I think it's important that, we look at this in a different light and not get so angry about it. So last week there was a person on our list to call. They reached out to us. And they missed their first class, and we've been calling and sending messages, text and email and otherwise. And so I got her on the phone and I said, hi, Mrs. So-and-so, this is Mr. Brummett from TriStar Martial Arts Academy. I'm calling because I know that Johnny did not make his first class and wanted to see if we could set that up if you're still interested in him doing the free trial. Well, when she answered the phone, of course, she said hello. And then I started talking. Well, it's dead. She hung up on me.
Okay.
She hung up on me. So I immediately called back.
Yeah.
And I left a voicemail because she clicked it. It went straight to voicemail. And I said, hey, Mr. So-and-so, I'm so sorry. It looks like we got cut off. The reason I was calling was because blah, 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 blah. Let me know. I'll also send you a text message with a link if it's easier for you to set it up that way. If it's not something you're interested in, just let me know. And then that was it. So I texted. Crickets, nothing, right? And so I was talking to Mr. Bean, and Mr. Bean's like, what just happened? And I said, well, this is what happened. And he goes, I don't call him anymore. And I go, oh no, I'm calling. And he's like, well, why? You're going to bother her. I go, yeah, that may look like I'm bothering her, but she should have enough guts to say to me, yeah, no, look, we're not interested.
Right. Yeah, of course.
So am I in the wrong? Probably, but Yeah.
Some people just don't have common courtesy to, look, when COVID hit, I lost like 65% of my enrollment. Like some of them were like high ranking students, black belts, brown belts. I've never heard from them ever again. I've sent them text messages, emails. They have never responded once to say, hey, we just decided to quit, or we're afraid, or we don't like you, or whatever. Not a word. They took that COVID opportunity to just disappear off the face of the earth. It was shocking to me. These are people that were like third stripe brown belts that would have been testing for black belt and so on. So very, very eye-opening when it came to loyalty and dedication, and whether you thought they were really good students and they loved what you did, and they just disappeared. So, but anyway, we were talking about layers, right? And we said okay, let's say, we get them in, they come in, they try out a class, they don't necessarily sign up. They're in our free month. We work with them until they keep on coming. And then we try to close them in a membership, right? We try to get them in some sort of committed membership. Then you and I have a follow-up program which is our onboarding after they join, what to expect, how to get the best from your training, how to make the most of it all, what we expect of them, etc. But and then we talked about, okay, the leads don't pan out. We follow up until they say, take me the hell off your list. Yeah, no lead is ever a dead lead, but we never talked about the potential and the shift of what that lead could be, right? Meaning they're not necessarily just for martial arts, right? Like
Yeah.
for the dojo, like for your program, yes, that's what they inquired about. That's what they signed up to try, but they didn't pan out. But what else could we be marketing to them? So what are some of your thoughts, like other areas that we could be reaching out to them that most people say, dead lead, I'm done. And they look for another lead that's a better lead. But what about those leads? What could they be molded into? And you had some thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, any event that it's not just for students. I mean, obviously, if you have a tournament, that's only for your students. But any event, it could be a parents' night out, it could be a bully buster, it could be a birthday party, and so on and
Self-defense
so forth.
seminars.
Yeah, I mean, whatever event that you feel they would be a good target market for because of their age, because of their gender, because of whatever. I mean,
Right.
you can send them information. Hey, by the way, did you know that we're having, it's not just for students. You're invited to come to it too, or whatever.
Right.
It's, and then, so any of those, and I can't tell you, I would say the majority of our birthday parties, well, I shouldn't say majority. It's probably close to 50-50 are not even students.
Right.
Are not even students. Well, how do they know about our birthday parties? Well, because 3 months ahead, I start marketing to the non-students about the birthday parties. And then, I mean, we market 2 months ahead to our own students, but the ones that are not students, we're doing a little bit more communicating to them, for our birthday parties.
Right.
Why not? Why not bring them in? Because then they're going to bring other friends. They're going to give us more leads. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So here's a mindset. Let me point this out. So like when my focus was on birthday parties, I put one of my staff members, who now is a police officer of over 10 years, a family man now, married with 3 children of his own. But when he was a younger guy, single, he was in charge of running my parties. He would be searching for parties wherever parties were, right? In other words, like parents groups on Facebook. He'd market the parties, right? He'd talk to the parents of the students marketing the parties. He would ask for parents to refer people they know to do our parties. And one year, I'm guesstimating, we did about 50 different birthday parties, 50 of them. And, he was doing a party, sometimes 2, 3 a weekend. And he made good money off of doing the party. I gave him a little bit of a commission, and we made a lot of money. Like we could have been a part, like at that moment in time, I started thinking to myself, maybe this is its own viable business that I could be doing. LI Ninjutsu Center's birthday party, set up a room, have it done. Like my daughter, I've taken her when she was a baby. She did a princess party. It cost me $800, right? Like to do the party. Like these things happen. People, that's what their business is. Yet we have that at our fingertips and we don't utilize it. And then, by the way, every lead that inquired about classes didn't pan out. They could be getting marketing material for your birthday parties all year long. So are we taking our leads and squeezing the most out of them? Most of the time, no.
Day camps.
Day
camps, summer camps. I mean, I don't want to say it's endless, but it really is almost endless on the opportunities for them. Because we have people that do our summer camps that they don't even want to do karate, but they want to do the summer camp all the time.
Yeah, we have a kid, actually 3 kids that come to all our camps, but they don't have the time to join our school. But whenever I have a camp, like we just did a Veterans Day camp, I text them because they're on my camp list and they sign up. So it's like the kid loves our camps. So if that was a dead lead because they didn't join my school, they don't have the time, I'm going to delete them out of my database. That lead sucks. No, I've been getting them to do camps. I'm making, they're signing up and we're making money off of the kid participating in the camps.
Well, we've got we've got our martial arts game night. And that's this Friday. And honestly, I don't use the term parents' night out because it's
Mm,
never worked for me.
okay.
I don't know why, it just hasn't. And maybe it's my own mental thing when I advertise it, whatever
Right.
it is. But I've I, I've had great success with the martial arts game night,
Okay.
and we sell out all the time.
That's
And we
awesome.
have kids that come to the martial arts game night that aren't students, have no desire to be a student, but they want to come in and do the martial arts games.
That's awesome. I love it. Yeah, obstacle courses. Like there are parties like at ninja, the ninja gyms where they do the running and jumping and hanging and those they have parties all the time. Kids want I get calls all the time. My son wants to do a ninja obstacle course. I have to explain to them, no, we're not a ninja gym like you see on the TV on the ninja obstacle courses. We're a martial arts school, but we could do obstacle courses for you, but we're not set up like with things to jump off of and hang off of and do all that stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
I
So
mean, you would just have to rework everything in your school if
yeah,
it was viable to do that. And there are some
exactly.
martial arts schools that actually do that,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
so that's another viable thing.
we'll do an obstacle course, but I just always am very clear that we're not that. But what I'm saying is that there's a lot of market out there for that
Yes.
people, right? So and by the way, another thing that we never really touch on, which is something that I haven't done because it's part of my martial art program. But like for instance, I remember when my daughter was really young, at one of the big, huge department stores in Manhattan, they had like a etiquette class for young ladies. How to sit, how to talk, how to hold your knife and fork, blah blah blah, like all that kind of real proper, prim and
Yeah.
proper kind of etiquette. There's a whole school for stuff like that. Like, so we if we did leadership team, sometimes people could be a part if they're not doing the martial arts only for leadership team, they're learning goal setting, time management, time slicing, verbal judo, all these other things. Outside members could join your school just for leadership team. So there's a whole nother area that we could be promoting as well for these things. And my mind just churns out ideas like this. But then I say, do I have the time? Do I have the energy? Do I have the motivation behind it? Right. But if I did, the school could have so many branches of items that their people are doing.
Yeah. The lead's not dead until, like what you said, they say, don't call me anymore. I don't want to
Right.
hear from you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you can't give up, but you got to be creative. And so going back to what Ali had said, you got to have, in the perfect world, you got to have that roadway to success or path of
Mhm.
what's going to happen from lead all the way up to black belt and beyond.
Right.
And then you have other branches that are inside of your student experience
Right.
that you need to create in order to get them to where you want to go. So the branches of, apparel, the branches of gear. You do a great job of having gear tied into your
Right.
curriculum, which is ingenious to do that so that you're selling more gear. But you look at all of that, and when I've worked with school owners before and we've talked about different things like that, it's overwhelming. And so
Right.
the reason I'm restating these things is because if you're looking to do something like that, just take one system and work that system all the way through, and then start plugging in other branches into it. So
Right.
again, lead all the way to black belt. And then what
Mhm.
do I want to have? What branches do I want to have inside of there? So, every year they're going to get asked to do a birthday party at like Grandmaster Parks. At 6 months, they're going to have the upgrade
Right.
uh,
Right.
opportunity. At this, they're going to have this whatever it is, just map it out and then decide how you're going to do it and deliver it. And then the
Yeah.
same thing applies to any events and things that you want the other leads that don't become students to experience, and how you want to deliver those things to them so that you can cultivate that relationship. The other thing is, I can't tell you how many times I've had people refer us. Their kid came to a party or came to the field trip, and by the way, the parent actually came to the field trip with them. Kid
Mhm.
never really wanted to do it. Parent was impressed with what was happening, but they didn't want to sign their kid up, but they had such a great experience that they talked about that to other parents,
Right.
going, yeah, oh yeah, I was at TriStar and they did this really neat field, and Mr. Brummett, he blah, 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 like, so, and then we get referrals just even from that relationship that was built from that event. So and that is so hard to calculate, to put into the statistics. But I can assure you, for me anyways, I built my business on relationships.
Right.
My motto was, if I can teach good enough to create the results that we need, I'm not going to have to advertise,
Right.
because people are going to talk about how remarkable we are
Yeah.
to everybody else, that people are going to just start funneling in. And before I knew how to market, before I even knew what a flipping headline was,
Right.
that's how we built our business. It was me,
Right.
and it was our staff, and
Yeah.
it was our interaction with
Mhm.
them, not just on the floor, but our concern for them off the floor.
Right.
You know, what do you guys send birthday cards to your
Right.
students on their
Right.
birthday? Well, I'm gonna
Mhm.
one up you, because not only do I send birthday cards, I send a 2-pack of brownies to them.
How much
You
does
know,
that cost you?
cost me probably close to, I don't know, like $12 in total
Okay.
to send the
So
card and
every
the
month you
brownies.
send approximately how many birthday cards at birthdays go out?
Well, if we have 250 students, times that by, $12.
Okay.
But
Per
they're
year.
spending $186 a month with me. I can
Right.
spend $12 on them.
Right. Exactly. So let's say $12 times 100 would be 1,200, 24, 200. So you're spending like what, like $400, $500 a year.
Yeah, I don't know. Your math is better than mine. I would think it's
I don't.
higher than
I
that.
think that's right. Like, let's say. So let's just say 12 times 250. 12 times 2.
$3,000.
Yeah. So $3,000 at you're sending out. And like, it's funny that you talk about this, because my daughter owns an Etsy site. She does all this custom phone cases and pillows and candles. And I just said to her, I said, could you find me an item around $4 or $5 that I could pick out to give to my students for their birthday? And I just give you the list of birthdays. I pay you, and you drop ship them to the client. Happy birthday from me, that kind of thing. So I'm thinking of doing something like that. Gives her business, which is great. But
Yep.
that makes a huge difference, right, in the students, like that little gesture.
Well, I can't. It doesn't happen all the time, but I'll have students write me a thank you note back. I'll
Hmm.
have them opening it up and taking a picture with it and
Right.
posting it on their Facebook and tagging me.
Nice.
So, and that's not why I do it, but it's just another communication. It's another touch.
Yeah.
And again, yes, that's costing me $3,000 a year to do that, but that's a drop in the bucket
Right. Right.
compared to the relationship. It just
Well,
is.
if you had 1 or 2 students that stuck around because they feel that you really care, it paid itself off right there. Right.
Yeah, yeah, and I do care.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it so I hope they think that I care. And I
Right.
know that's not what you meant, but I do care, and I want them to feel special on their birthday. I feel
Yeah.
bad because one girl, I sent the brownies to her, and she doesn't like brownies.
Uh,
So I went back and I sent her some cookies. And
okay.
so, I did spend a little extra on her and said, hey, thanks for telling me you didn't like brownies. So here's
Yeah.
some cookies for you. And I'm glad she said that to me, because she said, hey, thanks for the birthday card. And by the way, the system that I use, it's my handwriting,
Yeah.
but
You told me.
I
Yeah.
don't do it because my staff every Monday, they do it. So I don't have to touch it, but
Right.
it does. It looks like it comes from me. But anyways, and I said, she's thanked me for them. And I said, yeah. I said, man, they are so good. I said, how'd you like them? She says, well, I don't really like brownies. So I gave them to my mom. I said, oh, that was so sweet of you. I'm sorry you didn't like them. And then I went on and I sent her the cookies.
Oh,
So
that's cool. Very, very cool. Yeah. So again, our talk was about mainly like people not thinking that they're at a dead end because the lead didn't sign up in their school as a student. Every other area could be touched: birthday parties, special events, parents' night out, bully nights, self-defense seminars, movie night, whatever you're doing. Those people, just because they're not members, they still can be getting your marketing or correspondence and inviting them. And by the way, maybe now they come and they like it and they want to join. But at the same time, there's like money under those tatami mats, right? That you're so much like, that's my old line. Like, there's gold under their tatami mats, like that kind of thing. Because we don't know how deep to dig before we can uncover things that are available. I've always loved the fact, like, for example, right now we're doing a hoodie blowout pre-sale for hoodies for the holidays. And all I did was take the effort, talk to my supplier, find out what the costs were, mocked up a picture of what it's going to look like. I made a checkout page on Spark. People could sign up and order multiple colors with their name if they choose. And then I started an automation, which is for the people who are not involved with Spark. It's just like a process that we follow on automatic marketing. So it could be an email, a text message, an email, a text, email. And it's this series of promoting the event that we're doing or this hoodie sale. So I already have, I mean, it's been out for 4 days. I think I've gotten 21 sales. People bought already, paid for in full. I haven't even ordered the shirts. I don't have to invest my time, buy inventory, do anything, all being done for me. And I know who's going to buy. The money's going into my account. Every night I wake up, there's another sale or two. It's exciting. Like, I love coming up with a concept and an idea and turning it into a reality. It's like what I call printing my own money.
Yeah.
Legally,
obviously. Legally, yes. Yeah. So I just want to encourage school owners, don't get discouraged too much when someone doesn't act on that impulse.
Yeah.
The other thing I guess we probably should have, defined at the beginning of this call, and we've talked about this years ago on our podcast, that to me, there's a difference between a prospect and a lead.
Yeah.
So a lead is someone that actually raised their hand, they opted in. A prospect for us is somebody that we got their information from an event or someone else or something. So they're not as promising as somebody that raised their hand as a lead.
Right.
So we treat prospects like, I don't feel bad when a prospect is like, yeah, no, I'm not interested, because they weren't interested in the first place. A prospect would be, I came to the buddy night, I came to the party, I whatever, like just those things. I came to the field trip. Those are just prospects to me.
Right.
It doesn't hurt my feelings. It used to, until I understood that. Right. It doesn't hurt my feelings if they say no, because no to me just means not right now.
Right.
And then they can move up the ladder if they decide to raise their hand. Now they move from a prospect to a lead, and then they follow that funnel. So just hopefully, maybe that's a mind shift for you. Is that, that prospect really is I've talked about this before too, is they're a suspect.
Yeah.
They're just testing the waters to see if it is something that they would like to do. And they're not really a lead yet.
Did you ever see, I don't know what movie it is, but Robert De Niro is a car salesman, and he's got these two really yuppie kind of wealthy people come in, and they're looking at, I think he's selling Infinities. And he goes through, like, the clip is only like a few minutes long, but he goes through everything. They test drove it. They asked him every question, and he's like, "Are you ready to buy?" And they're like, "No, we're going to think about it." Because what's there to think about? And then he goes and he gets very angry and goes and curses them out, and they're like, "I'm going to tell your manager." Well, go ahead, tell my manager. And then he's cursing at him even more. Now get the hell out of here, because they were just literally kicking the tires for an hour and wasted his time. Who knows if they would have ever bought, but he got pissed, right? So we can't let that happen to us. We got to make sure that we don't allow people, we don't want to assume that person's not ready, right? Until they tell us they're always going to be potentially ready from one of the funnels, one of the areas, one of the things that we're promoting at that given time.
Absolutely. And look, it might be a couple of years down the road that you actually come up with an event that you've never done before
Right.
that they're actually interested in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And it could be like Johnny trained from 3 years old to 5 years old, and then the parents put him in football and baseball, and they very rarely do they ever come back. I always say that breaks equal quits. Like if they take a break, we know they're going to quit. But you never know. Maybe. And by the way, here I just had a kid, not a kid. He's an adult now. He brought in his 3-year-old daughter, but he was my student when he was 10. And from like 10 to like 14, he trained with me. And then he moved over to one of my associate schools and ended up training there, and then moved far away from us and ended up training at one of my friend's schools. Well, he's coming in tonight. His daughter's training, and he's coming in to start classes and see. He's like, it's about time I finish what I started. I'm like, okay, let's do it, man. I'm ready to go. But you just never know. Right. Yeah. So he heard about us, knew about us. He followed up on us. But and it's so long ago that I don't even have him in my database, from back then. That was like 20 years ago.
Yeah. And that's awesome. That's outstanding. That makes you feel good, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And he got to finally tell me as an adult how he thinks my martial art and art teachings changed his life, because he was heavily bullied, where he said that he had to run home from school. Kids would chase him and beat him up. And then he started training in the martial arts, learning how to stand up for himself and defending himself. And he said that he doesn't know what path he would have gone down. I assume that means he was depressed and sad and maybe would have hurt himself in some way. But it turned his life around, and now he's got a beautiful little girl.
That's so awesome.
Miles, right? Yeah. So that's very cool.
So just, as a school owner, look at all of these leads as relationships, and meet those relationships where they're at.
Yeah.
Some want to move forward and want to have a deeper relationship with you with regards to, becoming a student at your school. Mm-hmm. And some want to have just a casual friendship with you, where they come in every once in a while. Some will never. They want to be an acquaintance. They don't mind referring you, but but you're just an acquaintance to them. And then there are some that are haters, and there's some that they don't have time for you.
Right.
And maybe they don't even dislike you. They just don't have time for you.
Right. Or want to put the energy.
Exactly. So be thick-skinned. Don't let it hurt your feelings. And I know it's hard to say, because we all, especially with our own students when they quit, I know how I was heartbroken all the time when people quit.
Yeah, I know.
So just be thick-skinned about it. Be immune to that. And know that, your intentions, you have the best of intentions as you're moving forward to have these relationships. But I think the most important thing is, okay, I want to look at these leads or prospects or even suspects, and how can I meet them where they're at?
Right.
And get, have whatever relationship they want to have with me at where they're at. Does that make sense?
Totally. I love it.
All right, sir. I appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, man. We'll see you next week.
Yes, sir.
All right, everybody. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Martial Arts School Owner Talk podcast. This would not be possible if it weren't for the support of our amazing sponsors. Please check out Elite Insights for all your website needs. They can be reached at eliteinsights.com. Add Health Coaching, helping school owners create a new and easy to implement revenue stream for your school. Visit addhealthcoaching.com. Lead Hunter Media, your online digital marketer and content provider. Visit leadhuntermedia.com. Academy Kings Growth Consulting and Management Group. They can be reached at academykings.com. And Spark Membership, hands down the best martial arts software for school owner management on the planet. They can be reached at sparkmembership.com. We will see you next time.